Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayh. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam tabaraka wa sallama tasliman kasiran kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. My dear brothers and respected elders and sisters, if we die, and we are able to recite the great kalima, Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, or I bear witness there is no God except Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, that means we have died as a person who have entered Islam. If we recite it with sincerity, then only all our sin will be shed upon the recitation of the kalima. This is the meaning of hadith. A person who recites the great kalima with sincerity. You know what it means? With the intention only to please Allah. That means that person is a true believer to good deeds. Pillars of nur in front of the arch will be shaking, and the pillars will tell Allah that I will not stop shaking until this person who have recited the great kalima with sincerity, or until the sins of this person who have recited the great kalima with sincerity be forgiven. So it's not simply reciting the great kalima, then our sins all will be forgiven. It is to recite the great kalima with sincerity. If Rashidi recite the great kalima, he will recite the kalima not with the intention to please Allah, because it's not the true believer of good deeds. He will recite the kalima so that his sin will be forgiven. So because his intention to recite the kalima is for his sin to be forgiven, he's not sincere. So if he died, he only died as a person who entered Islam. So a person who has entered Islam will go to hellfire. Understand? But now wrongly understood that anybody who recite the great kalima at the end of their life or the time of his death will enter paradise. Only who recite the kalima with sincerity. And also it's not necessary also. If a person is a true believer of good deeds, you don't need to recite the great kalima the time you don't want to. Because you're already a true believer of good deeds. You'll die in the name of Allah. When you sleep, you say, I live, I die in your name, and I resurrected to become alive again in your name. So there is no, it's a wrong understanding that only to recite the great kalima at the time of your death, you will enter paradise. The virtues of reciting the kalima is only when we recite the great kalima with sincerity, then the pillars of nur in front of us of Allah will be shaking, and the pillar will not stop shaking until our sins are forgiven. So don't dream that I will commit all evils and then at the time of my death I will recite the kalima, and that means I will be able to enjoy doing sins, committing evils while living in this world, and when I'm about to die, I will recite the great kalma, all my sin will be forgiven and I will enter paradise. So that is not the case. Okay? Of course, reciting the great kalima with sincerity. When the word sincerity is mentioned, it means that person is a true believer to good deeds. How a person can become sincere? When he do the action because he want to please Allah. When he can please Allah. When he love Allah more than he love these other things other than Allah. When you love Allah more than other than Allah, then you become a true believer to good deeds. That's what it means by the true believer to good deeds. Allah swear, wal asri, with time. All men are at loss. That means all men will go to hellfire. Understand? Except the true believer to good deeds. Why? Because the true believer to good deeds love Allah more than other than Allah. If you love your wife more than Allah, you love your work more than Allah, you love your money more than Allah, you love to have positions more than Allah, then you are not a true believer of good deeds. And then whenever you obey any orders of Allah, you will not be able to obey it with the intention to please Allah. Because you don't love Allah. You love other than Allah, more than Allah. So, you will do any order of Allah because you want to attain the rewards which has been promised. For example, a person, Allah is promised. Allah has promised to give us such and such rewards, and instead of obeying the order of Allah to please Allah, we obey Allah because we want to attain the rewards. We want to be able to obtain the reward, and that is not sincere. All the rewards which are mentioned by Allah is to make us, to make us be able to believe, to have the belief to the core of our heart on the belief, on the rewards which Allah has promised. So when we are obeying the order of Allah, we must have belief in the rewards, not to get the reward, believe in the reward, in the promise of Allah, and that is called ihtisab. It's different between wanting to have the rewards and believe in the rewards, in the promise of Allah. It's something very different, very, very different. Few people or few scholars are able to explain this. In Malaysia, I don't think any of the so-called scholars or ustad, have ever mentioned the word ihtisab, which is in the Quran. You pray with ihtisab. It means you pray with the belief in your heart, with the belief of the promise of Allah, that Allah will give you such reward. Not you pray with the intention of getting rewards. This is different. To pray in order to obtain rewards are insincere. To pray with the promise, with the belief in the promise of Allah is ihtisab. You will only be able to believe in the promise of Allah if you become the true believer of the good deeds. You are not the true believer of the good deeds, you will not be able to believe in the promise of Allah. You will obey orders of Allah because you want to obtain the rewards. And this is called insincere. Like Rashidi, when he obey any orders of Allah, his intention is to obtain the rewards. These are to obey the orders of Allah without sincerity. we can only be able to obey the order of Allah with the intention to please Allah when we love Allah more than other than Allah. So we have to make Allah to eradicate the love of other than Allah from our hearts and install or instill into our heart the love of Allah. For that we have to do the work of sacrificing our wealth for the sake of obeying the order of Allah. You see? We have to sacrifice our wealth. Or we have to leave our family. The love of wife, children will be eradicated or extracted from our belief when we are ready and willing to leave them behind for the sake of obeying the order of Allah. Which orders of Allah that which order of Allah that orders us to leave our children and wife in order to obey the order, not the order of salat, not the order of fasting, not the order of zakat. Is the order of striving in the path of Allah, striving in fighting for the cause of Allah, striving in propagating the kalima, where we need to go out in the path of Allah. When we go out in the path of Allah, naturally we need to leave behind our work, but our wife, our children, isn't it? Our farm. We do not want to do that. Understand? We want to be always with our wife, children. And we say, no. I will not do this work of inviting people to Allah because I need to go in the path of Allah, leaving my children and wife and work. This is not possible. When you do that, the love of dunya will not be eradicated. The love of wife, children, farm, work will not be taken away from your heart because you are not willing to leave them behind. You are not willing to leave your work in order to do the work of inviting people to Allah or inviting people to good, forbidding people from evil in the whole entire world. We have to do the work locally, in which we have to sacrifice our ego. So that ego will come out from our heart. What is ego? To tell I'm great, I'm such and such person, I'm noble, and then it's ego. Ego. When you are not even a noble person in the locality, you should not have ego. You're not even the chairman of the mosque. You're not even doctor. You are nothing, nobody. So to do local work is not difficult for you. You may not, don't worry if anyone scolded me. They surely will scolded me either I do this work or not. Because to them, I'm just a pariah, a poor man, But if I am a rich man in the locality, a noble man, you are the imam, or you are the chairman of the such and such, you are well known and respected. And if you do local work, you need to sacrifice. If anybody scolded you, you must remain, you should not fight back. You know who I am? Such word you got. Do you know who are you? Oh, you know who I am. You don't know. I am this. This is not warranted. Cannot be done. Like Rashidi, he's nothing. There's nobody here. But if somebody scolded him, then he said, who are you? You don't know me? And then you should not do that. That's why Allah says, anyone, who do evils to you, when you invite them to Allah, don't repel back with evils. Repel with good. Things which are better. In this way, your ego will be expiated, or your ego will be extracted out of your heart. When you don't have ego, you don't have pride. Pride is something which is shirk. To associate Allah with you. Allah is great, I'm great too. Allah is great, I'm great too. Rashidi says, Allah is great, I'm great too. So you must not have this. You say Allah is great, there is no one who is great except Allah. I'm not great. So if anybody scolded me, I say, okay, forgive me. I will not give dawah to you. Forgive me. Then you will go away. Or if you scolded you, say, I'm sorry. Because I've hurt you, this is a present from me for you. You give them present. Because you scolded me. When you scolded me, I'm reviving the sunnah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When I be able to revive the sunnah, I'm being awarded by Allah with such a great rewards. So in return for that, I give you this present. Or if you have, or you give them money. Surely the person will be shocked to his death. How could I scolded this person and in return he give me money or present? Surely this is something very strange. Why he did that? I will be asking you. Then he may ask you why. Because when you scolded me, you are doing something very good to me. I will never be able to have this. To have the sunnah of Nabi Sallam, to practice the sunnah. Unless you scolded me. Since you scolded me, I'm so fortunate. I'm so happy. As Maulana Ilyas Rahmatullah, when he asked that fellow to recite the kalima, the Mewati, He's a respected person. He's a well-known as ulama, and nobody will scold him ever. Everybody will listen to him and will, There is one man who knows him, but he asked him to recite the kalima. But this man, he knows how to recite the kalima. He feels dejected when he was told by Maulana Ilyas to recite the kalima. He thinks, why he asked me? I'm not like the other Mewatis who doesn't know how to recite the kalima. I know. So, because he was working, and Maulana Ilyas disturbed him, so he hit him, and he fall down. Then he make dua to Allah. Oh Allah, I'm very happy today. Oh, he was shocked to see Maulana Ilyas was become grateful to Allah for being beaten. So Maulana Ilyas say, all is well. No one scolded me. No one hit me. But today, I was given, this reward of reviving the sunnah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is one occasion where how we want to do the local work with humility, humbleness, and that can be done only when we do local work and we are scolded. Our ego are tarnished. People don't worry whether you are the chairman of the mosque. When they are angry with you, they will scold at you. They don't know. This is a ustad. But because he comes to my house and trying to teach me, he thinks I am a kafir. Then he scolded that ustad. Ustad, keep quiet. He shouldn't say, do you know who I am? They shouldn't say that. If you don't know I am the guru here, you shouldn't say that. Allah says, remain patient. Bear the wrongdoing which are done by the evil people to you. Because to bear patience is better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have patience, humble. So we must do local works. where people knows us, you know. But many people do not want to do local work, particularly those who have status in the community, like the ustad, you know. The ustad, the so-called scholars, they say, "Oh, we are not ready to do this work. It is beyond our ability to do local work," and they usually admire those fools who are doing local work. These fools, they don't have image, they don't have status. Not the young kid, young boy, except for Rashidi, not having status, having ego. But generally, those who are doing the local work, they are just fools. They don't have education, they don't have status, no money. And of course, to do local work is not of any problems. But still problems. Still are thinking that I shouldn't do. Oh, my pride will be tarnished if I do local works. So the ustad, you know, they really think that I'm ustad. People give honor to me. You know, they praise me and do this, and now I'm going to go and ask people to give time to me so that I can talk about Allah to them. If they scolded me, what will happen? My grace, my honor will be tarnished. That I will not be able to do. I'm not willing to do. That's why they say I'm not able to do. So I go on doing it. He is asking. I'm not ready. So many ustad are saying this. Why he's saying he's not ready? He's not ready for his status to be tarnished. That's all. Actually, the ustad should do this, so that when his status is tarnished and when he bear patience with that, Allah will make his ego to be relinquished from him, to be taken out. From egoist, he will become a person who is humble. And this is what is egoist is what? People who ego, you know, who thinks he's great. Is it true that he is great? It's not true. Like him. He thinks he is great. Is it true? No, no one is great except Allah. When we think that we are great, that means we are associating Allah with us. To have ego, to have pride means we are associating Allah with us. That's why a person who have ego, even a teen, can never go into paradise. Because paradise is not for the people who associate Allah with him or with other than Allah. See? If you don't associate Allah with you, you become a humble person because there is no one who is great except Allah. No, I'm not great. I can do Gash. I can go to Jalan. Even if I was scolded, I will obey Allah. I don't repel back with bad words. I'll remain silent, at least to the minimum, and pray for him. And in this way, that we will have humility. That's why watawasa bil haq, remind people, invite people to the truth. Watawasa bil sabr. Watawasa bil sabr means we do the work with patience. One is to do the work. Second is to do the work correctly. To do the work is to remind people with the truth, with the kalimah, La ilaha illallah Muhammad. Watawasa bil sabr, to do the work with patience. What is patience? To repel evil with good. That means you should not, when anyone talk bad thing to you, you should not talk bad thing to him. He should remain silent, patient, and making dua to Allah. And this is what is required when we do the local work. But when we go in the path of Allah, we spend time outside the country, outside our locality. Nobody knows about it. Either you are a doctor or a chairman of the mosque. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. So to relinquish ego from our heart, would not be achieved by only going out in the path of Allah, but not doing the local work. So when we go, when we need to spend time in the path of Allah for 4 months, 40 days, 2 months, or whatever months, away from our family and work, we need to sacrifice our wealth. And then our love towards our wife, our love towards our children, our love towards our shop work. Because when we do local work, we still can work and earn money. Wife is still with us, children are still with us. But when we need to go out, there we need to leave them behind. So if we have love with our wife, children, work, I say, no, not ready. Like Sufyan. He doesn't want to go out. He only do local work. Why? He don't have ego. He has no position in this area. Nobody knows him, isn't it? Anybody knows who Sufyan is? He's not the chairman of the mosque. Nobody honored him. So doing local work also is not a problem, really. But to leave his work, to leave his wife, children, in order to spend time in the path of Allah is terrible. Say no. I asked him to go 4 months, no. 3 days, no. I only go if I got leave, holiday. If I 1 day holiday, I'll go 2 days. If I got 2 days holiday, I'll go 2 days. To take leave, leave without pay, it's not. I will not be able to do that because I love money. I love my wife. I love my children. I love my work. That's why Yazid do not like to do the work of Tabligh. The work of Tabligh, Jamaat Tabligh, we have to leave home. They don't do local work. We have to leave homes. Wife, children, work. Oh, I'm not willing to do this work of Tabligh. That's why when the people of Tabligh invited him, he just, ignore them. This is people who love wives, children, work. Like Samad, touch and go. Because the work of Tabligh, no local work. They ask always people to go out. Go out, go out, go out. Not in the path of Allah, in the path of ibadah. To pray, to make giving lecture. Not so hard actually. Not to go and invite the non-Muslim to recite the kalimah, the Muslim to remind them about the kalimah and then to invite them to do the work of dawah, to do that job. They're only calling Muslim to go to the mosque, to listen to the lecture, then to give time. 4 months, 2 months in the path of ibadah. Very easy job, not so difficult. Even then he need to leave his home. This is something difficult. So many people do not want to do tabligh. This is a wrong work. Leaving children, wife, work, I will not do. Some able to do only if they're still paid. They can leave their work because while leaving their work, they don't have to take leave without pay. They are still paid like the teacher. They only go during the holiday, school holiday. They are still paid. So what's the problem of going 4 months? Only I may have to leave my wife, whom I love. But that's okay, not so much. I love money more than my wife. This is all the reason as to why people do not like to do the work. Particularly the work of Muhammad SAW, not the work of Jamaat Tabligh. Very difficult. To leave homes, to leave wife, children, to go out and see the non-Muslim, and invite them to recite the kalimah. This is something terrible. And to remind the Muslim, the so-called Muslim, what the kalimah, and to invite them to do the work, not to the masjid, to do the work of Muhammad SAW. This is also difficult. So this is very difficult, I said. So we follow our elders, Nizamuddin, the the time to work on the non-Muslim has not come. No, the time to preach the non-Muslim has not come. What is the decision? What do you mean by the work to invite the non-Muslim has not come to the so-called Muslim? It has been revealed at the time of Muhammad SAW in the Quran. Can we change it? Can we erase it and say no? What stupid all these tabligh people saying, oh, we must obey our elders. Dr. Nasoha, he disobeyed our elders. His fault is he disobeyed. It's okay for me to disobey the elders of tabligh, as long as I don't disobey Allah. But they willing to disobey Allah because to obey the elders of Jamaat tabligh. Who is in the wrong side or who is on the truth? Certainly they are on the wrong side. They obey the elders and they disobey Allah and Nabi. Because the elders say, no, what Nasoha is saying is not true. You know, we don't need to go and give dawah to the non-Muslim. The time has not come. When the time comes, you ask them, when the time will come? When you die? Naturally, the time not only has not come, has come from the time when it was revealed. And we simply follow because of our desire, our nafs. The people of tabligh are engrossed in fulfilling their desires, not to do this work of inviting people to good, forbidding people. They don't like. They just want to call people, the Muslim, to mosque. That work is also difficult for them, they say. To go to their house and call them. The number is about 5, 10 people. Not one person, no, going and invite 10 people. Such a grand, no? Creating fear to the people. Why they go to such a large number? To create fear. And so, 10 people come to my house to invite me to the, so they get scared. They run away. Some run away. Ooh, the people coming, run away and not coming to see them. But they are just calling you to the mosque to listen to the lecture. That's not very. But they create fear because 10 of them coming with zikr and juba and all that. Taman. Have you ever seen the Sahaba doing it? Not seen, we cannot see. But have you have read any hadith on this? Hello? Huh? There are 10 Sahaba going from house to house. Why we do it? We can go for 3 people. Like in the Quran is there. Prophet Musa sent 2 people to give dawah. Then he strengthened it with another person, 3. Why we 10? We go out 10. So many. 3 people enough lah. If you want to call people to the mosque, these 3 people not to call to the mosque, to call people to Allah. Much harder job. It's a much harder job. You know? So the tabligh choose to do the work which is of lesser hardship and lesser tense and stress, so that they can recruit many people to follow the work of Jamaat Tabligh. You know, but it is not the truth. So you don't get Iman by doing local work, the way tabligh teaches you. Jamaat Tabligh. To do the local work is to do the work of ghost chasing. You know what is ghost chasing? Finding who they will be able to get them out from their homes. Going for 4 months, 2 months, 3 days. They go only in search of people whom they can think will give their time for 4 months, 2 months, 3 days. That's all the work of Talwi is never being done by anyone. None among the prophets of Allah. Have you read any prophet of Allah go and asking? No. Isa a.s. is sending his disciples, ever ready one, to do the work for 3 days to preach them to Allah, not to ask them to go out The methodology or the standard operating procedure of the work of Jamaat Tabligh is far deviated from the SOP of all the messengers of Allah. Far deviated, unknown in the history of the entire mankind. So they are thinking of only sending people for 3 days, for 4 months, 40 days, doing the work of ibadah. That's all they do, isn't it so? Tabligh. What do you do when you go for 3 days, 4 days? You just praying, sitting in talim, listening to lecture, eating, sleeping. And then you go in the evening to call people to listen to your lecture and ask them also to do like you. Go 3 days, 40 days, 4 months, that's all. This methodology or standard operating procedure is far deviated from all the standard operating procedure and methodology which has been done by all the messengers of Allah and those who follow him. That's why I'm saying the work of Jamaat Tabligh is not reviving the sunnah of Prophet ﷺ, but reviving bid'ah, the work which are not done by any prophets of Allah, not even Muhammad ﷺ. So, for not following the way of Muhammad ﷺ and to regard that to be the truth is of utter nonsense, and utter destruction. We need to go out in the path of Allah. We've been ordered. It is mentioned, okay, but not the way of the Tabligh. The Tabligh is not going in the path of Allah. They're going in the path of ibadah, asking people to pray, to listen to lecture, to sit in ta'lim. That's all. All the time in the mosque. They go out for Gash only in the evening to call people to listen. And to whom they think that is, having a soft corner towards them, they will go and visit them to ask them for 3 days. That's all, the work. This is not a work which is condoned by Allah and His Rasul. This is a work which has been made and adjusted to become palatable, acceptable to the so-called Muslim, so that many Muslims will join the Tabligh. And it is true, many Muslims join Tabligh because it's not a very hard job. It's a job of spending time. That is quite difficult, but palatable, acceptable. I just have to pray, to eat food, listen lectures. So what? In the evening, 10 people of us will go to invite them to the mosque. She's a very, very soft, hardly no sacrifice. But the sacrifice is just leaving their wife. But the work they are doing is not right. You must do the correct work of Muhammad SAW and leaving your house, your work. To do the work of Muhammad SAW, then only you will gain Iman. And then only the love of wife, children, all this will be extracted from your heart. If you do the work like Jamaat Tabligh, you will not. Because the work is not true, unacceptable. So we must revive the work of Muhammad SAW. When we do the work of Jamaat Tabligh, we are not reviving the work of Muhammad SAW. In fact, we are doing bid'ah because we are doing the work of the scholars of India and Pakistan. The scholars of subcontinent of India and Pakistan who are known to have many religions. India is a country which are having a lot of religion, So many religions which are debated in India. They are fond in making false hadiths. So many so-called people think that Tabligh is such a very honored work. Oh, Tabligh is a very good work, some scholars are saying. They don't know what they are doing. They simply go out in the path of Allah. That is one part that people think they are good, they are true. But the work that they are doing is not the work of Muhammad SAW. It's the work of the scholars of India, devised, developed by the scholars of India. So, what is there? Even the Sahaba, cannot make any new rules. Even the salat of Tarawih, which has been made, which Hadrat Umar has made it. This is not a sunnah. It's a bid'ah. Bid'ah hukum is makruh tanzih. That means you can do it, but you get no rewards. Those who pray Tarawih, 20 rakat, the Jama'ah in the mosque, that is not sunnah. This is bid'ah. And to practice it, the hukum is not sunnah, not fardu. The hukum is makruh. Makruh, there is two types, tahrimi and tanzih. Tahrimi means close to haram. Tanzih means not close to haram. So the hukum of praying in Tarawih with 20 rakat with Imam in the mosque, it can be done because it is makruh, but got no rewards. So if you don't want any reward, you follow Umar radhiyallahu anhu. But you want rewards, and your reward, you must do the order of Allah, which is sunat. Tarawih is sunat mu'akkad, If you do it in the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 8 rakat individually in the house or in the mosque, you can if you want. The reason as to why Umar radhiyallahu anhu make it into Jamaat, because there's so many Sahaba who praying alone in the mosque. They say, why praying alone? So let's make it a Jamaat, 20. Oh, you see how to make it 20, making everybody, praying Tarawih with no sincerity at all. They are forced to pray. They don't have khushu, no sincerity. So, follow the sunnah. Pray at home. There's no one in the world who's saying this except me. Nobody dare to say it. Because they say? There is a hadith that follow my sunnah and the sunnah of my Khilafah Rashidin. You'll be guided. But this hadith, I'm telling you, I ask Allah, is false. Yeah? So even Umar radhiyallahu anhu, we cannot follow him. How can we follow the elders of India and Pakistan? Doing so much bid'ah. We can't. We must follow exactly the way of Muhammad sallam, or at least being mentioned by Allah in the Quran, by other prophets of Allah. So we can send Jamaat, in the path of Allah, doing dawat in other part of the world. People about 6 or 5 people. We can do that bid'ah. It's not that haram. Okay? We cannot send 3, but we can send 5, 6 people. Because of what? Because there's someone we need to cook food, do khidmat. Not to send 20 people. Okay? Even Gash, we can go alone or 3 people, not 10 people. To the house. So we go for Jamaat in the path of Allah. We may send 6, 7 people, because there will be people who have to do khidmat. They cannot go out to see the people. If they go see the people, we must not send more than 3 people. Understand? So these 2 orders of Allah, to strive in the path of Allah, to do the work locally, the hukum is fardu ain. It means it is obligatory for all men and women, adults. Either they are poor or rich, sick or healthy. Must do the local work minimum 45 minutes to 1.5 hours daily. How to do it? I mentioned everything is in my tafseer, in my book of Hadith and Quran. How the woman should do it, how the sick woman and the sick man should do it, how the healthy and the wealthy man and the poor man and woman should do it. All mentioned. And to go out in the path of Allah is fardu kifayah. it is obligatory only to men, not to women, who are healthy and financially sound. Okay? A group of men, adult men, maybe 5, 6 people. Understand? So that is fardu kifayah. That means obligatory only to men, not to women, not to the sick, not to the poor, but to adult men, healthy and financially sound. That means able to leave some money to his wife, children whom he has left behind, and able to bring some money for the khuruj. And these two orders of Allah, these two, that means the order to propagate kalima in our locality and the entire world is obligatory upon all the so-called believers. Obligatory. And these are not known before. I made it known to all of you. It is obligatory. Fardu Ain in the locality, Fardu Kifaya in the whole world. Unable to do this, not doing this, is we are committing a very great sins, because this is the first order of Allah after we have recited the kalima. When we have recited the kalima, we have to do this order of inviting people to Allah or inviting people to good, forbidding people from evil in the way of Muhammad SAW. Is a sacrifice of our time and wealth, intention to please Allah. Only then Allah will make the great kalima which we have recited to enter into our heart, to the level, at least to the level which Allah has made. That means to enable us to become the true believers for good deeds. We can become even more. If the true believers good deeds of the highest level, we can become even the lover of Allah if we willing to sacrifice our entire life, entire time, and entire wealth in the path of Allah. Okay.